The International Criminal Court may issue an arrest warrant for Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu, says the New York Times. Tel Aviv officials could potentially be accused of obstructing the delivery of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip and overreacting to the Hamas attacks on Israel on October 7, Israeli sources said. For now, the list of people for whom the warrant will be issued is unknown. However, Israeli sources consider it extremely likely that an arrest warrant will be issued for Netanyahu. Netanyahu responded, "Under my leadership, Israel will never tolerate any attempt by the ICS to undermine its inalienable right to self-defense. The threat of the capture of soldiers and officials of the only democracy in the Middle East and the only Jewish state in the world is outrageous." The situation is quite amusing. Let me explain why. Just before we learned that the Biden administration was directly requesting that Israel not conduct a military operation in Rafah, this news appeared. Preparation for the operation in Rafah is underway. Many Western media outlets warn that if the operation in Rafah commences, it could be another genocidal catastrophe. For Biden, this is a serious problem due to the upcoming election. He risks losing votes from Muslims and pro-Palestinian supporters. And by sheer coincidence, these two pieces of news appeared one after another. However, the true humor of the situation lies not in this. The real humor emerges after this news, as Netanyahu personally asked Biden for intervention. What does this mean? One head of government is asking another to intervene in international court. This not only highlights the attitude of Western countries towards international laws, but also how they operate. If we delve deeper, we will find that the entire situation is more humorous than it initially appears. The United States has imposed sanctions against individuals associated with the International Criminal Court 3 years ago. The United States has imposed sanctions against the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Fatou Bensouda, and against the director of the court's jurisdiction's Compliance and Cooperation Division. When announcing the sanctions, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo did not give any specific reasons for taking this measure. Pompeo said the ICS continues to target Americans, and Bensouda, according to the Secretary of State, allegedly materially contributed to these alleged efforts, The Guardian reports. The U.S. Treasury issued a statement blocking the foreign assets of Bensouda and the director and prohibiting them from contacting Americans, thereby placing these lawyers in the same group as terrorists and drug traffickers. This decision, according to observers, was made due to the fact that the senior ICS judges authorized an investigation into American war crimes in Afghanistan. American governments, regardless of who is in power, always talk about democracy and its fight against dictators. They always discuss dictators in Russia, China, Turkey, and many other countries. These dictators allegedly interfere with private life, freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and most importantly, the neutrality of the legal system. At the same time, the same American government puts pressure on the International Court of Justice whenever the courts make a decision that does not suit them. The White House press secretary stated that the U.S. authorities believe that the International Criminal Court investigation into Israeli actions in the Gaza Strip and the issuance of arrest warrants for Israeli senior officials related to these actions exceed the court's jurisdiction. Washington has threatened the ISS, with congressmen hinting that the arrest warrants for Israeli officials could lead to U.S. retaliation. As reported by Axios, a bill is being developed that will provide an answer to any arrest. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCaul stated that he expects the House to pass a bill to sanction IS officials involved in an investigation into the United States and its allies. The Speaker of the House of Representatives called the possible arrest of Israel officials disgraceful and lawless. But this is not the end of the story. I want to remind you that the same American government, which is now putting pressure on the international legal system, was also happy when the same international court issued an arrest warrant for Putin. These officials welcomed the decision of the International Criminal Court regarding Putin. US President Joe Biden has welcomed the International Criminal Court's issuing of an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin. The ISS accused President Putin of committing war crimes in Ukraine, something President Biden said that the Russian leader had clearly done. In summary, it is clear that the Biden administration is utilizing the International Criminal Court as a means to pressure the Netanyahu government into changing its course. No matter how much the Biden administration talks about imposing sanctions on IS, it is all just a show. In reality, Biden is sending a message to Netanyahu. Additionally, when Netanyahu requests the United States to influence the decision of the IS, it indicates that he fully understands that in this case, we are not talking about an independent judicial decision, but primarily about implementing US positions. Netanyahu is well aware of how decisions are made, so he's not asking the IS, but the United States. Therefore, despite the apparent war crimes committed by Netanyahu and his associates, the IS serves as a tool for the US to establish its dictatorship through the use of pseudo-international mechanism.